First thing I'm gonna do is start welding this thing together before I put those other pieces in. I've used a wire brush, cleaned up all the flux core tacks pretty good. I'm just gonna MIG weld it. So, yep. All right, here's the frame all welded up pretty much. I think it turned out pretty good. That's what it looks like. What I'm gonna do now is grind these welds down so when I put the sheet metal, it'll lay flat over everything. And then I need to get these pieces in there, which are gonna go in here, across. So, yeah. Here's all the new pieces that I just cut, laid in here. I decided to wait on grinding this until when I put the sheet metal on there. So I'm gonna wait on that and just leave these so far. But to make this line up, I'm thinking about doing, taking this clamp, just having it hold the metal to where this part right here, this little 1.5 inch section is flat. So I'm just gonna eyeball it, but Here it is, all welded up. I clamped it to the sheet metal so you could see the angle here. And I think it's pretty good. Pretty good structure. All those pieces fit in pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with it. You can see in the video I caught myself on fire a little bit, but it's all good. Off camera, I ended up grinding down all the welds with the flap disc, as you can see. So now it has a smooth surface to lay the sheet metal down in. And I also started mocking up the edge here. I thought about doing a 2-inch piece, just buying a 2-inch wide piece of flat stock, like this aluminum, so I could, you know, bolt it up and have it be removable and still have an inch facing down. But I was thinking about it, and I don't really know when I'd really take that edge off. Plus, when I'm laying that sheet metal down, I kind of need a good edge to start with, as in this edge right along here. Because if I don't have that edge, then I'm just gonna have to tack it on the ends. And I'm probably, what's gonna end up happening is I'm gonna break the sheet metal up into different pieces so it's easier to bend all at once, because I don't have a roller. So I think it'd be beneficial to have an edge to weld to start with the sheet metal and just make my way up, because you don't want to go down, you want to go up, and then the extra sheet metal I'll bend over and make it look better. But yeah, so just got it clamped on. This is the 1.5-inch piece of flat stock, so I think it should work fairly well. So I'm gonna tack it up here. All right, I got it all stitch welded in. I just set the spot timer for 5.1 seconds on the welder, which is actually very nice. And I just did a lot of little vertical downs to try to keep the weld size down, so I have room still on this piece of square tubing to mount the sheet metal to. But welding on both sides now. Down here, all the way across. But yeah, so now I just need to start figuring out the sheet metal to wrap it now. I got it down on the floor here in front of the lawn tractor, and I think it's looking pretty good. It's really starting to look like a plow now. It's definitely heavy duty, probably overbuilt as usual, but I think this should work really well. I took the angle grinder and tried to grind off most of the spatter off the sheet metal. When I was welding on it, I got it kind of spattered up. So I'm just gonna use this as the backside. I know it looks funny like that, but probably gonna cut this out with the plasma cutter. And yeah. Okay, so the frame is pretty much complete. Now I have to move on to the sheet metal here. I'm gonna cut it at 14.5 inches, I think. So I'm just gonna mark this and then cut it out with the plasma cutter. And then I might cut this into thirds so it's easier to bend versus, you know, the whole 4 feet would be too much to bend at one time. So I'm just gonna mark this out. For cutting this, I'm going to be using this Lotos LTP 5000D plasma cutter from Amazon. I've had it for quite a while. It's not bad. I'm just going to be using this piece of metal as a straight edge so I can drag it along and cut it. So, yeah. All cut out. It's a pretty straight cut down the whole thing. What happened a few times was when the sheet metal was bowing down because of the weight, it was pulling the sheet metal down here away from the straight edge, which made the drag guard with the torch slip underneath here, and then I would gouge in here. But besides that, this part is straight. Off camera, I was doing some math, and this sheet isn't exactly 48 inches wide. It's actually 48 3/4, roughly. And I want the sheet metal to stick out slightly on each side for the plow, about 3/8 of an inch or so. So after doing some math, I'm gonna measure off 16.5 inches on each side. I'm actually gonna cut this piece into thirds so it'll be easier to bend. If I try to bend this whole thing at once, it's not gonna be a very even bend, I don't think. But if I cut in thirds, then I have a lot smaller pieces to work with and heat, probably with the rosebud with that, to get it to bend, because like I said, I don't have a roller or anything. So just cut it in thirds and then tack it here and then start rolling it, I guess. See how that works. off camera, I spent some time to see how this would work out. And I mean, it works. You're using the torch quite a bit. And there's some hammer marks in it. But the problem is, once I get this one on, it's gonna be hard to get the next one because I won't be able to clamp it like that as I go along. So what I'm almost thinking about doing now is breaking this stuff up into sections that just go between here and here, here, and here, and here. So then I'm gonna have 9 little pieces that I'm gonna have to weld in. But theoretically that should work better and potentially be easier than this, and maybe look a little bit better. There's gonna be a lot of welds showing though, but I think if I grind those down and paint it, it won't matter too much. But I mean, so far it's not too bad, but I think I could do better potentially. So I think I might do that. So I'm getting these pieces cut out, and I'm liking how this looks without all the hammer marks in it. And I might just leave it like this, honestly, because this 14 gauge sheet metal, this stuff is tough and it's not gonna bend or anything. So if I just weld that how it is, you see there's a little bit of gap in there, but it's all right. I think it looks pretty good. Unfortunately, this side does not look so good. You can see all the hammer marks. I tried to flatten it out, but it's not really savable if I want it to look nice. So I have to cut another one out of this sheet metal, which is kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is, I guess. You know, trial and error when it comes to this stuff. So I just got to cut this part out and do the same. So I've been cutting the bottoms at 4 inches, and then the middle part at 4.5, and then the rest that's left over is just the top. So yep, just cut this one out now and cut it up. Here's the sheet metal all laid out in it. The curve looks pretty good. I think if this was just a big flat piece of plate, then you know, you can see that difference. So definitely think that it'll make a difference. And it's not quite what I thought originally, but I do think the individual pieces of sheet metal in there do make it come together, even if they are all straight in there. I'm just gonna weld these in and not worry about bending them down like I was talking about. I think this will work pretty good. So Just got to get to welding them now. Here's the plow, pretty much all welded up. I welded it off camera, or pretty much a lot of it. Here's one of the welds. It was a big vertical down, a 4-foot vertical down, just to cover up that big gap I had. And it looks pretty good. And I decided not to weld all the seams because it's kind of pointless. And it might look kind of funny if I do that, because it is stitched in 3 places, well, technically 6 on each of these all the way down. So it's stitched pretty good, but yeah, so I just got to figure out how to mount this thing now, pretty much. But the plow is pretty much complete so far.